Family disputes can make us feel isolated and vulnerable. Maybe you're going through a divorce or a legal dispute about your kids. Perhaps you've spent hours on Google or have even posted anonymously on Facebook to see what others have to say. But are you getting the actual information and support that you're looking for? Our podcast, Legal Lounge, aims to dispel misinformation and downright bad legal information to empower anyone with questions about their family, their children, their finances, their marriage, and the law. As a team focused exclusively on family law matters, we aim to help listeners not only with the information they need, but also with the hope that their situation has a solution. Short disclaimer, please note this podcast is for educational purposes only, and the information should not be relied upon as legal advice or for legal purposes. Welcome back to the Legal Lounge. I'm excited today that we have a nonprofit spotlight. The nonprofit is Despierta, and it's run by a really good friend of mine, a friend that has given back to our community here in Charlotte for years now, and is not only an inspiration to so many Latino women in the community, but more importantly, honestly, an inspiration to me. So I am so lucky to have Juliana with me here today. And without further ado, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for having me here today. I'm super excited to be here. And I'm so honored that you asked me to be on the podcast. And I love what you're doing. Well, my name is Juliana, and I'm the founder and executive director of Despierta. Despierta in Spanish means rise up, and I founded this nonprofit in 2020. For me, this nonprofit, it's very personal because it's different pieces of my life that I created a program in which I wish I would have had growing up. Mm-hmm. I grew up in a household in which mental health was just never talked about, cultural wise. Mental health there's a huge stigma behind it, and it's something that in the Latino community, sometimes it's whenever you mention the word mental health, there is a stigma related to oh, you're crazy, or estás loca,
or weak.
Yeah, or you're weak, or just pray about it. A therapist? What is a therapist? Mm-hmm. And so one of my parents, they really struggled and later on was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And so for several years, we lived in a household in which mental health, was never diagnosed, and we did not know how to support him, right? Mm-hmm. And so I also fell into a relationship which was very traumatic, a domestic violent relationship at a young age. And eventually I went to therapy. Mm-hmm. And so going to therapy really changed my life. It was very healing for me. Mm-hmm. And so when I started to work in the community as a social worker, I realized that there were so many women that were going through the similar situations that I had been through. Yeah. And I was like, wow, if only they could also receive that guidance and realize that it's okay to seek help. Yeah. It's okay to not be okay. And just like we go to the doctor whenever we're sick, it's okay to go see a therapist for that emotional support. And so I was like, wow, well, I didn't really have resources to send them to, right? Yeah. And so I'm like, well, I wish that, I could create a program like this. Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
You created it.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cool. And it was created in 2020.
Yeah, in 2020.
And it, just by the sweat of your brow, you started the organization, but it's grown, hasn't it?
It has grown so much. Since we founded, we have helped over 3,300 youth and women.
Wow.
Yeah. So
that's
initially
huge.
It started off to help empower women. And we were like, you know what? We want to start working with young girls in 6th grade. Mm-hmm. Now we're even thinking on going down to working with them starting in 5th grade, all the way through high school and then young adults. And we've created a model where we're helping the youth, but also the women the moms and caregivers. So it's an intergenerational model, and providing that emotional support and creating this safe space for them.
Yeah, yeah. And your program is actually intertwined with the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system, right?
Yes. It's I'm really happy about this partnership with Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools because a lot of the families that we work with, they have transportation barriers or the families are working and unable to attend like after school programs or like on the weekends. And so the fact that we're able to provide like our program directly in the schools during like an elective class or like homeroom, we're able to meet the need directly right there for the students and provide that emotional support because it ties in, it ties into like their academics and it affects how they're, being able to perform in school as well.
Yeah, and show up to all the school's challenges.
Exactly. I mean, right now they're dealing with so much. Like we address like a cyberbullying, digital wellness. We also touch on like digital literacy and like that's so huge right now. Like,
Yes.
With our students. So it helps provide that emotional support that they need.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fantastic. And how many schools are you in?
We're currently in 10 Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools.
10 schools.
Yes.
And what is like the size of your team?
The size of our team, we are a team of 6, but we have 10 interns.
Wow.
Most of our team is made up of like social workers or we have someone who has a communications background, counseling background. And then our interns are either studying psychology, education, or social work.
That is fantastic. Wow. I mean, the breadth by which you help different members of the community and specifically the youth, I mean, that's so impressive. Like, I am in awe of you. I'm just letting you know.
Thank you. Thank you. We all say this, like, we wish we would have had this growing up. And, like, we hear this from our girls all the time. Like, they're like, wow, like, we feel proud to be Latina. And it gives them a place of belonging because oftentimes, I mean, even right now with, like, so many different things that are going on, like, in the environment, we hear these different things on the media of not feeling like we belong here. And so we created this space where they feel like, no, you do belong here. And like, we have to move forward and like, and salir adelante. So it gives them a place where they can, feel safe and use their voice.
An emotionally safe environment for these young women, Latina women in particular. And go one step further, I'm sure that the camaraderie that is built between the youth in the different classes also help inspire and empower each of them to pursue dreams that maybe they never even thought were possible before.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. We also do a lot of collaborative work. We call it like collective impact, and we partner with different organizations and go on college tours with them. Nice. Expose them also to like different like trades because maybe the college pathway may not be, for them, but also expose them to different like career paths. So it gives them that hope, that aspiration. We also have a program in which we work with teen moms. And we do this program directly in a foster home called Crittenton of North Carolina. And so we provide that emotional support, and the population that we work with are primarily like unaccompanied minors. And so for them, it's like giving them that hope and just being that support that they need during these hard times.
Wow. So what are some of the future aspirations of Despierta as it's growing and it seems continuing to be a bigger influence in our community?
Yeah, one of the future aspirations, which is like a request that we get a lot, is to expand our programs for it to be co-ed. I love the work that we're doing, but there's also such a need to help the males as well. Yeah. And that is something that I would want to be able to expand and do. Right now, like capacity wise, it's something that we haven't been able to reach, but we have done some like workshops in which we've been able to help with the males as well. But that's one of the aspirations that I do have. I am a mom of a 13-year-old boy, and I have a 7-year-old daughter. So I'm like, you know what? I definitely would like to expand to that.
Yeah, because you know how it is to be in the parental role and see your child struggle and I'm sure you're a fantastic mom. I can already tell.
Thank you.
But there's something to be said when you have another environment at school specifically that makes mental health a safe topic to talk about, and then that emotionally secure environment to foster those discussions.
Absolutely. And having that trusted adult that you can come to is so important. I think that is also like we've been able to help our students like identify certain things that are going on in their lives, whether it's like the self-harming and realizing where it is that they need to be like find like that support. I think that we've been able to help them when they're in like this crisis mode and helping them seek that help that they need.
Yeah. Yeah. And I presume there's also the component of, ensuring that these kids know what a healthy relationship looks like. And I'm not talking just romantic, but friendships, even with teachers and beyond, just because I feel that a lot of people presume adults and children know what healthy relationships look like. And I would beg to differ that that's reality.
Right, exactly. And I think that starting at a young age, planting that seed at a young age, that's why we like to work with starting at 6th grade when they're like 12 years old, 12 years old is so important because like it kind of like helps start like that foundation.
Yes.
Like they're in this stage where like they're, getting to know themselves, like finding their identity, building like those relationships. So I think that's really important as well. Like you said, not just like romantic wise, but like friendship wise, it's also important.
Yeah.
And from personally, as someone who is a survivor of teen dating violence, I think that I wish that I would have known about the signs. So I think that if we're bringing awareness on this at a young age, and like even if it's like, hey, like this is not what a healthy relationship looks like, I think that it'll help them recognize that, whether it's with them themselves or with a friend. It's really important.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, because I mean, there's so many different components to mental health, and then expanding that to not only internal, but then how we communicate that, right? Because if we're not okay with ourselves, we may very well project a lot of our fears, our frustrations, our anger onto others. And if we can't communicate well and we cannot deal with those emotions well, it just has a ripple effect from there, right? And then that's where you see, the school fights, and then the horrible commentary that we've seen rise on social media and digital platforms. I mean, it's just crazy. Some of those Netflix documentaries about, there was the one of the mom who wrote horrible things to the daughter. And then another kid was using AI and ended up unfortunately committing suicide.
Yes.
Like, this is horrible. And it's serious stuff that we need to address.
Exactly.
And we're in very intimate environments, right? Like, you're working with kids, you're working with the Latina women in particular. I have clients going through family law disputes and divorce, and children are always going to be, hopefully unintentionally, but always a victim of separation and divorce. Yeah. So they're vulnerable. They're in a vulnerable state. So
Absolutely. And I think that, right now in this day and age with technology is learning how to be healthy consumers of it. Regardless, it's not going anywhere.
No.
And just educating our families on how to use it, in a productive way, right?
Yeah.
And also, I think that in particular, like our Spanish speaking families, we want to create like a digital toolkit for them, so they know how to be able to support, their kids and know what's going on and be up to date on what's happening as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like, I know so my parents, Puerto Rican, it's interesting because they didn't really speak Spanish directly to me and my brother. They spoke it around us. So we're really good at listening. I can tell what you're saying.
Yeah.
But not as conversational. And it was always interesting for me because, my parents knew English and Spanish, but my grandparents only knew Spanish. And I can only imagine if my grandmother were still here today, she would look at a smartphone and be like, what the hell is that? Right. And it's like, it's just not of that generation, let alone it's a completely different language. And especially if parents are and they're here trying to give their children a new life, but then don't really understand the possible negative impacts of social media and just technology in general.
Right.
I mean, yeah. It's
or
scary.
Or how to set those boundaries. Like, for example, like I set certain limits with my son. I know that we were talking with our students about screen time. A lot of them didn't even know that there's like this app on the phone, like you can check your screen time. And they were like so shocked. Like I remember one of the students was like, she checked her screen time. She's like, I spent like 10 hours on my phone. And she was just, shocked herself to see how much time that she consumes on the phone. But like giving them those tools so they can see, and also giving it to the parents so they can be aware of like their child and what they're being exposed to.
Yeah. And go one step further, like screen time can become an unhealthy coping mechanism as well.
It can be addictive.
And it can be addictive. And I forget where I learned this from, but it does create like a empty high. And what I mean by that is like if you go do something you enjoy and you go do it, like if it's let's say you are good at soccer, you go play soccer, you get a high from it, and then you feel fulfilled because maybe you won, or at least you got some exercise and you got all the good juices flowing throughout your body, right? Which is good. But what social media and screen time does is it gives you the anticipation without the actual benefit to your body.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're not actually running, you're not actually moving, you're not actually receiving a satisfaction because you're just sitting looking at a screen.
Right. And then doom scrolling. Right? Late night doom scrolling, or the comparison. Oh my
because
goodness.
Because it's not just because it's on a screen, it's because then you're reading some of the most horrible things. And, and you can go down so many different rabbit holes depending on what you're searching.
Yeah, no, you can. And then somehow it almost feels like we could be having a conversation and next thing you know, we'll see it pop up on our phone, right?
It's the scary part sometimes.
Is.
Yeah, it's so true.
Yeah, so that's why I feel like definitely it's something that it's here, it's happening, and we need to be able to have like these open conversations with, like our kids.
There's no conversation more romantic than discussing a prenup with your partner, right? Okay, maybe the song for your first dance does a bit more in the romance department. Speaking of emotions, though, the prenup is a very legal document that everyone has a very emotional reaction to. Many people avoid the prenup conversation because they feel it is an indication that the marriage will fail. But here's the truth. Half of all marriages already fail, regardless of whether the spouses had the prenup conversation or not. If you or someone you care about is getting married, would knowing what marriage involves legally be important? What about having the difficult conversations surrounding finances, career aspirations, and pursuing parenthood prior to the wedding date? If you are looking to build a solid foundation for your marriage, or you want the same for someone you care about, we are here to help you learn more about prenups from a position of knowledge, not emotion. To learn more about family law from a legal professional, book a consultation with a member of the Modern Legal team by visiting our website, emailing us, or calling us at 704-286-6302. Check out the information about Modern Legal services at modernlegalnc.com. And so when you're working with our sixth grade population, what are some of the, tools that you want them to leave the program with?
So we like to say like we create like this toolkit that they take with them as they navigate life, and we're teaching them how to set healthy boundaries, how to communicate, how to also be able to establish like healthy friendships, how to also be able to set like balances between their academics and their like family life, and just be able to be empowered and also like find your voice and identity, and also like remember who you are. So like we're teaching them how they can navigate life.
Yeah.
And finding that trusted person that you can go to for support.
Yeah. That's huge. I think in particular for Latina women, at least in my background, my mom didn't follow this trajectory, but in the Puerto Rican household, it very much as a Latina woman, you were basically raised to cook, clean, find a good mate, be a wife. And I remember my grandmother would kind of make fun of my mom when she went to community college after high school. Like, why are you spending so much time in those books? You should be trying to find your husband. Mm-hmm. And it was just very interesting because in the rebel and my mother kind of obviously pushed back on that when she raised me. But it was just interesting that, my mom's generation is not that long ago.
Yeah.
And I can still see some of that. Even in my case as a family law attorney, you still see, especially in the Latina world, where women very much are siloed into like this one role, instead of also being encouraged to go to college or encouraged to have a voice, encouraged to set healthy boundaries. So of any population, I am all for the Latina women getting these skills in their toolbox, because unfortunately they're just not as often getting it within the home.
Right, exactly. And that's why we want to be able to like show them and lead by example.
Yes.
And for them to see us and be like, wow, like I can, go to school and hey, maybe, study social work or education or communication or I can go beyond what, I've typically seen.
Yeah.
I grew up helping my mom clean houses. And she's very hardworking, and like still to this day she cleans houses, and I learned so many good values from that. But she always aspired for me to go, higher. And she's like, go to school. Like, she came to this country because she wanted a better life, and like she was like, I want you to go to school. I want you to work hard and, be able to accomplish all the things that I wasn't able to, right?
Yeah.
And so when we are exposing like these young girls and exposing them to different like career paths, it shows them like I can go beyond what is like the stereotypical like job fields that, they label us.
Yes.
As.
Within the box.
Yeah, with that box, yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that always reminds me of the picture where it's a cute picture of a little boy actually in the Oval Office when Obama was president. And the little boy was a little black boy, had like curly, hair, tight curls, and he reaches up, and I believe this is the picture where Obama like leans down and lets the little boy touch his hair. And it was just that realization of, oh, you're like me. Oh. And you're in the Oval, you're in the highest office like you made of the United States. And it's like, so now that little boy, I'm sure, can now see himself
he can aspire,
there.
yes.
Right? It's the same. And there's a ripple effect all across the board. I remember actually, I forget which association did this research, but they found that as soon as they started adding Asian lawyers to Law and Order, like the show, there was an increase of Asian Americans applying to law school. Like, if we don't see it, we don't think it's possible. That's just human nature. Yeah. And so specifically for our kids, if they see us being strong Latin women, and if you see me looking off camera, it's because our podcast producer is also a strong Latin woman. And so, we're in a room right now of strong Latin women. And so making sure that, our children after us know that they can fill these shoes too.
Yes, representation matters. I always say that, like, I will say that whenever I got into this nonprofit space, it was that one Latina mentor. Her name is Sil Gonzo. She's the executive director of Our Bridge for Kids. And she was so inspiring to me, just seeing her like as this fearless Latina leader. And I was just like, wow, like I can be that, and that to me was just so, it just inspired me to know that I'm capable of achieving that as well, because typically like I'm in certain spaces, and I'm sure you as well, where we are the only Latina that may be there, or even woman.
Yeah.
And so, like being that voice, that representation, like it really does, it matters. It makes a difference.
Yeah. And I think, especially as our world continues to grow, it's recognizing that, we deserve a seat at the table as well. And we bring valuable commentary and opinions to the discussion. I actually remember the other day in one of my business groups, it has 3 females and the rest are males, so about 15 of us. And we were just talking about gender in the workspace. And it was so empowering for me because I was also the only Latina female. And I was like, people are listening to me.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing more empowering than being at a table and people are actually listening to my unique perspective and story. And I want that for everyone, honestly, because I think everyone has something valuable to say. It's just we have to give them the platform and the tools by which to do that.
I agree with you. I think that for so long I had like battled with like imposter syndrome, but I had to let go in that and realize like, no, I belong here. And like you said, like for us to have that voice at that table is so important. And every time I start to have like those negative, like intrusive thoughts, I'm like, no, like I'm doing it for mi comunidad, for those young girls, for our Despierta girls. Like we're paving the way.
Yeah. Yeah. I like to joke, and I'm sure it's a popular like picture out there, but when someone says, there is no seat at the table for you, it's like, okay, then I'll build my own table.
Yeah, I've heard that before. I like that.
So, I like to say I'll build a nice long table, and everyone can sit at it as long as we're welcoming, and we all can
sit with me.
You can sit with me, and I'll let you have a voice. So, yeah. So,
I love that.
And are there any other like nonprofits that have helped support you and Despierta through the years?
Yeah, there is. Like United Way of Greater Charlotte has been a huge supporter. United Way is like, thanks to United Way is how we like were able to like fully launch our nonprofit. Nice. They were our first major funder. And because of United Way, like it gave me hope again, because listen, when I started this nonprofit, like I had the passion, like I'm background in social work, and it was a vision that God gave me. Despierta actually comes from the Bible verse, Mark 5:41, which is little girl arise. And so to me, I felt like God was calling me to help other women rise up and wake up. Become the best versions of themselves. And so when I started doing like the community work, I had no business background. And so at first it started off really slow, and like, it's hard to get that first yes. Yeah. Like you try to share with people what you're doing, and there's already established businesses. And so when we finally got our first yes from United Way, it was a game changer for us.
It was the launch.
It was the launch. And I am forever grateful for United Way of Greater Charlotte for believing in us. And since then, we were able to build that trust within the community. I'm thankful for those partnerships with Our Bridge for Kids. And for me, I think that the most importantly is that collective impact and building trust with our partners in the community and showing up. Main thing is like showing up and doing exactly what you say you're going to do. Yeah. Yeah. Half the battle is showing up. Yeah. And when you show up, then that's the example you set for everyone that's following. I always say quality over quantity. We want to do so much, but I think that the quality of our work is most important than the quantity and the numbers. I mean, we'll get there eventually as we continue and are able to have more staff on board, but the quantity is very important. And I just hope that I'm leaving a piece, a legacy in Charlotte for years and years to come. Yeah. And I mean, look, I truly believe in the concept that, the reason why you and I are sitting here today is because we stand on the shoulders of those before us. But on the flip side, we're also going to be the foundation for the girls and other community members that stand on our shoulders to launch our communities forward. So that's right.
Oh my goodness, Juliana, thank you so much for being here and joining us on the Legal Lounge. We support you. Excited to have you in the spotlight for our nonprofit this season. And so if there's anything else we can do, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Thank you. If you want to follow us, check us out. Our website is despiertacot.org. You can also follow us on our Instagram. We're very active at despierta.cot. Also, our Facebook is Despierta, and our LinkedIn is Despierta. So check us out.
Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to listen to our discussion. To learn more about me and the Modern Legal team, go to our website, modernlegalnc.com, or check out the links in our show notes to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. You can also call us at 704-286-6302. If you have been intrigued by the conversation and would like us to continue our discussions, please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a review. See you next time.